Hello and welcome to Dark and Stormy Book Club. It's our first time that we are all together after vacation, and today it's what we're reading. Enjoy.
I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
Welcome back from vacation, ladies.
I haven't gone yet, but I can't wait to hear about yours.
We figured since this is the end of July, I don't know where you are in the world, but we are dealing with some heat. So we thought, what better to do a hot theme?
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be temperature, though.
I like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be temperature.
Getting the vapors.
Oh, that's awesome. As you do, right?
Yes, as you do.
This is what we do here, and we love all of it.
We are all on the East Coast, so it is pretty toasty.
It really is.
It's been so smoky because of the fires in Canada.
Yeah.
It cleared up and then it was back the other day. You could hardly breathe out there. It's not good.
Crazy.
So we'll entertain you and try to keep your mind off of it.
Yes, while you're inside, hiding from the heat.
Yes.
And Misty's going to go first.
I read When She Gets Hot, which is a Tootsie Goldberg mystery. And it's listed as a feisty female sleuth novel by Miriam Allenson. It actually came out in February, but I read it recently and oh my gosh, this book is hysterical, delicious, fun. It is all the things. She is a lady of a certain age, is what we'll call her. And there's a death. The tagline, it says, when she gets pushed too far, even her hot flashes won't hold her back. And yes, it's wonderful. It's actually self-published. And you can get it on Amazon. I believe it's available everywhere. It is irreverent. She's so funny. Just the way she handles things. You can tell that she's got baggage, but you can also tell that she is there for all of it. A really great community is built, elderly coworker friends. She's, like I said, in her 50s. And so life issues of that age and ages over. I really like mysteries that are not just about whodunit. I really, really enjoy the ones that I also want to come back because I want to see how your Aunt Marg is doing. You know what I mean? Like I am invested in this person. So while I definitely want the mystery, I don't necessarily just want the women's fiction aspect of it. I definitely do like the mysteries, but I love when the mysteries have an aspect of community, when they have an aspect of the main character maybe has recently been divorced and so is moving through life or getting hot flashes and trying to figure out how that settles in. Or, you know, sometimes they have ones where they recently inherited their grandmother's bakery or something like that. This one has all of that stuff, not the bakery, but there's a radio station involved and there's some shady deals happening. It's a really fun ride all the way from page 1 until the very last. Oh, I see what you did there. And it was very entertaining. And I really, really liked it. And this is a great series. I mean, I think it's going to be just fabulous all the way around. I've known Miriam for a while and I've read her other stuff, and this just popped. I like her others too, but this one was just like, oh, tell
Is
me
this
you're
a new
writing.
series from her, or is it?
I believe so. Let me go check real quick because I think so. When she gets hot, first book in the Tootsie Goldberg Amateur Sleuth series. And it says, if you like strong Jewish female leads, a dash of danger, and spicy heroines over 50, then you'll love Miriam Allenson's later in life take on growing older and bolder.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah, I really, really like that. I'm always nervous about reading books from people that I know because
Yeah.
I'm terrified I'm not going to like it. And then what do I say? Do I just say I didn't read it? You know what I mean? And
There are creative ways of reviewing a book.
This is true. This is true. But this was one where I just like I started it and I told myself, all right, I'll just read a couple of pages. And then I'm like, I didn't eat dinner. I need to go to bed right now. Shoot, dang it. I'm supposed to work tomorrow morning. Just a couple more pages. Just a couple more pages. And those are my favorite. I love the ones where I'm sucked in and I just feel like I'm riding shotgun with her. It was really well done. I highly recommend it.
It sounds a lot of fun.
That sounds like my kind of mystery for
Yes, absolutely.
the old bat mysteries.
And you can find her at miriamallenson.com, which is MiriamAllenson.com. It's wonderful. It was a really wonderful book, and it just definitely drew me in, and it had me laughing. Those are the ones that I want. The ones that if you're on the beach and you're laughing really loud, people are staring at you. And you're like, you just hold up the book and you say, this one, this right here.
Yeah. And people probably appreciate that. They're always looking for
Absolutely.
good things to read.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now I'm going to make you sweat.
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
make you sweat real bad.
Bring it on. I got my fan.
But not in a good way. In August of 1896, there was a heat wave in New York City, and it was really bad. I think 1,500 people died.
Oh.
And it lasted for 10 days, and the temperatures were above 90 degrees with 90% humidity.
Oh my God.
Think about it.
Summer.
Well, at least we can escape to air conditioning and fans. This is where the divide between the rich and the poor really was felt. The book I'm going to review is called Hot Time. It is written by W.H. Flint, but that is a pseudonym. His real name is Gerard, I'm going to butcher this, Helfrich, I would like to say. He mostly writes nonfiction, but decided to take this story and put a mystery around it. Wait till you hear who stars in this book. It's published by Arcade Crime Wise, and it came out in April of 2022. New York, August 1896. A hot wave had settled on the city with no end in sight, leaving temperatures short and the streets littered with dead horses by the heat. In this presidential election year, the gulf between rich and poor has political passions flaring. White anti-immigrant sentiments, sound familiar? Has turned virulent. At police headquarters, the gruff, political, ambitious commissioner, Theodore Roosevelt, has been struggling to reform his notoriously corrupt department. Meanwhile, the yellow press is ready to pounce on the 400, the city's social elite, the better to sell papers with lurid stories and gossip and perhaps profit on a little blackmail on the side. When a body of the Town Topics publisher, William Alton Mann, who is also a real person, is found dead at the bottom of the Brooklyn Bridge, any number of his ink-splattered victims may have a motive.
Ooh.
Hot Time is an immensely entertaining, deeply researched, and richly textured historical novel set in a period that reflects our own. Does it ever? With cameos by figures ranging from J.P. Morgan to muckraking journalist Jacob Riles. Our guides through this tale are Otto Rafe Raphael from the Lower East Side, one of the very first Jewish officers in a heavily Irish force, who finds as many enemies within the department as outside. Minnie Kelly, the department's first female stenographer, Theodore Roosevelt himself, and the plucky orphan Dutch, one of the city's thousands of newsboys who may have seen too much.
Oh,
I read that and I could not open this book fast enough.
seriously.
It is so well done. And I tell you, Flint, or his other name, is a researched fiend, because this book was so accurate. I felt like it was a nonfiction story. I really did. The characters that he peppered within with ones that aren't real people, like Otto and Rafe and Minnie, were just delightful. And it was so funny. Like, I remember one scene, the newsboy, what they would do is they were pretty much homeless. They just would stay in these squalor things, and he would have to pay like 5 cents to get enough papers to sell for the morning. And then once he was done with his papers, I remember he was so proud of himself that he managed to save a dime, and he was going to put that dime away and show his mother that he was saving for her. And I'm like, oh my goodness. It's just,
Then
it
a
really,
dime was a lot of money. I mean,
yeah.
for somebody who had nothing.
It's always
Yep,
so
and-
interesting, though, to think back to those times when, it was not completely out of character to have a 10-year-old out on the corner selling newspapers because nobody in the house was eating if we weren't all working, or
Yeah.
even on a farm where they'd have 14 kids and, the 6-year-old is out getting eggs. And
yeah,
it
they
was-
talk a lot about hunger and
Mhm.
and especially think about this. You have all these people that are poor,
Mhm.
and what are they going to eat during a heat wave? What,
Yeah.
there's nothing, there's no fresh vegetables, there's no, so they made things that you would think were for winter because they had to eat, so they had to cook.
Something.
And
Yep.
I just kept thinking, I would not want to eat beef stew in 90-degree heat, even with my air conditioning.
Yeah. There really wasn't a lot of choice. I know my great grandmother used to tell stories of living in New Orleans. She lived with 3 families. She had divorced my great grandfather. It's a long story. Anyway, she had 4 kids. On Thursday night, they would have 1 can of peaches, and that can of peaches got broken open and divided between the children who lived in the house. And the next day, the parents would eat when they got paid.
Yep.
To think of that, it's mind-blowing.
Yes.
Yep.
This book had kind of like a Dickens feel, especially Oliver Twist. The story itself about the murder and Rafe solving the murder is just so well done. It's kind of like 2 separate things, but he's dealing with all the dead horses. I mean, can you imagine the smell? Ugh.
Oh, no. I'd rather not.
But back then, they only bathed once a week if they had something to bathe.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and like they wore the same clothes every day. I mean, some
Every
people
day.
had two pairs of clothes, one for the summer and one for the winter.
They usually wore something to church on Sunday.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yes.
And then the rest of the week, they had like a pinafore over it or something, but no deodorants, no.
No.
Uh-uh.
It's really a shame that some of these things that we're still dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very sad to think that we have not progressed
Yeah.
that much.
Well, I can remember as a child, my mother had 5 children and my father and her. And one day I went to visit her and she said, "What would you like to eat?" And I told her I wanted gravy on toast. And she started to laugh because she said, when you were little, that was all I could feed you because I had nothing else. She would make a loaf of bread, slice it up, and make like flour gravy with a little bit of bacon fat in it.
And let me interject. My grandparents were both college educated people. They
Yes,
were
they
not.
were. They were not
But
like
5 mouths to feed were a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think you got
never
very creative.
knew we were that poor because
Well, you did the same thing with me. I used to love your pepper steak, and you said that was so you could stretch steak.
I used to stretch it as far as it was like a rubber band.
And I mean, obviously that was out of necessity.
Oh,
But
yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong doing that, even if you don't have to do it out of necessity.
That's true.
Because it
That's
teaches
right.
you how to not waste a bunch of stuff. I mean,
Exactly.
that is one thing people, obviously there are people out there who are in very destitute situations. This does not involve them. But other people who say they have nothing, but every single night there is a full meal on their dinner table and they've got leftovers that then can be eaten for lunch next day or thrown away because they don't like leftovers. It's a whole different thing than to read a book that involves what one thing can I make that's going to feed people because we're starving and we have to have something.
I think my mother did a wonderful job of hiding the fact that we were poor.
Yeah.
And I mean, we weren't destitute. My father had a job, but
Right.
to support 5 kids, you got to
A lot.
stretch that money as far as you could get it. But I never felt that we were not as well
Because
off.
you know why? At that time in history, there were a lot of people in the exact same boat that you
Yeah,
were.
there
So
were.
misery loves company.
Yeah.
Back to the book. The one thing that I really appreciated in the book is he had notes on what was fiction and what was real. Some of it he used a creative license. I do not think this is a series. It kind of left it open that it very easily could be. He doesn't have a website because
Oh.
he's not real. And I think his other one just deals with he writes like historical nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
And,
Interesting.
but if he ever does write anything else in the crime world, I am there for it, especially if
fabulous.
it's along the lines of that. It also reminded me of the book The Alienist. So our fans who love historical fiction, go out and get this. It's very, very good.
That's awesome.
And I would have never picked it up if it didn't have the word hot in it.
Well, there you go.
See, I love that. I love being challenged to read something different.
Yes.
Well, my book, actually, I had 2 books.
Uh-oh.
And I was juggling which one should I do because they're both so good. So I'm going to report on one and then just give you the name of honorable mention for the second one. And the reason I picked this one was because they sent it to us for review by the book club. And it's called Sun Damage. And it's by Sabine Durant.
Okay.
And it's published by Hodder and Stoughton. The heat is intense. The secrets are stifling, and there's no escape. In a tiny village in Provence, 9 guests arrive at a luxury holiday home. The visitors all know each other very well, or at least they think they do. The only stranger among them is Lulu, the young woman who's catering their stay. But Lulu is not exactly the woman on the video the guests thought they'd hired. It turns out Lulu has plenty to hide and nowhere to run as the heat rises.
Mm.
In this seemingly idyllic getaway under the scorching sun, loyalties will be tested, secrets exposed, and tensions pushed to the brink. This book was so good. It's the story of Allie and Sean. I thought that Tracy. Her niece named Allie and her husband is named Sean. Well, this Allie and Sean are experienced con artists.
Oh.
And they double team their unsuspecting marks, lull them in with the web of lies, and then steal their money and their lives. Well, one particular con goes horribly wrong, and Allie runs away. She makes a breakaway from Sean, who's very controlling. She ends up hiding in this little villa, pretending to be a chef who was hired for this group of friends. You talk about a book with secrets and heat and a little bit of romance. This book had more twists and turns.
This book had everything.
It was a good read. And you keep waiting to see what's going to happen next. And it had so many twists and turns, you're going, holy moly. It was so well done. It's chock full of beautiful descriptions. It's well crafted. It's very suspenseful. There's a lot of intrigue, and there's a lot of characters.
Is this part of a series?
Apparently, it's a standalone. It could make a series, but I don't know from whose perspective. And actually, Provence is almost like a character itself, because the descriptions, you just feel like you're right there.
I've been to Provence. Beautiful.
I've seen pictures, and yes, it is beautiful. But I couldn't find a website for Sabine, but I'm sure we could get it on the publisher's website.
Oh, there you go.
And then that second book I was looking at was called Death in the Sunshine, and it's by Steph Broadrib, and it's put out by Thomas and Mercer, and it's the first book in the Retired Detectives Club. So it's a bunch of old people, 4 ex-cops in a retirement paradise. Sure, they'll rest when the killer's caught. It was so well done. Moira is the lead protagonist. She was a police officer in London, and something happened that ended her police career. So she moved to Florida, to this retirement village, because nobody would know her or know what happened. She did not want anybody to know. But then she finds the body of a woman floating in a pool, and she meets Philip, Lizzie, and Rick. Philip was a lead detective in London, and his wife was a crime scene investigator. And then their friend Rick used to be a DEA agent. So they've all come to this retirement village to start over. Myra doesn't want them to know she was an ex-policeman, and Philip wants to lead the investigation from the cops that are investigating, and he's very insulted because they want to do things their way. It's got some humor. It's got a lot of mystery. I highly recommend it. So that's
Love
the second book.
You got 4 for the price of 3.
There you go.
We can probably think of some more under this theme. Like the one I comes to mind is Evil Under the Sun.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Well, there's also All That Glitters Isn't Old.
There
That
is.
is coming out.
It releases today, August 1st.
And her books are a lot of fun.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. They're a lot of fun to write, so I'm glad that that translates well. You never want to be the only one laughing, and other people are like, "Oh, wow, you might want to get some help or something because it's not nearly as funny as you thought it was."
No, it's
your books are always fun. I'm about halfway through it. I haven't got it finished yet, but I'm enjoying it. And it's written by Gabby Allen, her alter ego.
Yep.
Now we need to talk about something that we're all doing in October. Fright
Yes.
reads. And we would love to see anybody who's in the Maryland vicinity. Please come visit us. You will see us in different costumes, and Misty will be there pulling double duty. She will be there as an author and also as part of our team.
Yep.
And we will be hosting a panel there. So
I'm
definitely
Hosting 2 panels, please.
Oh, 2 panels. 2
Nice.
panels.
Nice. Well, and I mean, the 3 of us together are so much fun anyway. And then, if we're going to be it's the whole thing is going to be amazing. And they've got
Yes.
celebrities.
And we've got swag.
Swag. Come for the swag. Stay for the talk. We got this.
But anyway, the website is frightreads.com.
Yes.
And you can get tickets on there. They're very inexpensive.
If you want to get autographs from the original Jason, or they have some Scream Queens.
Mm.
There's quite a bit. It keeps growing.
I love it.
So yes, please come see us there. That's all I have.
That's it for me too.
So we are as done as we're going to be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Trivia. Last week's question was, which beloved author of children's literature also wrote songs that made the top 100 hits list? A. Roald Dahl, B. Judy Blume, C. Shel Silverstein, or D. Dr. Seuss? The answer is C. Shel Silverstein. He wrote many songs recorded by some of the top singers over the years. He won a Grammy for the song A Boy Named Sue, written after he attended a conference in Tennessee where the featured speaker was a male prosecutor named Sue Hicks. He also wrote songs for Johnny Cash, Loretta Lynn, Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. This week's question is, which mystery author did not attend school full-time until the age of 12? A. Margaret Atwood, B. Robin Cook, C. Mary Roberts Rinehart, or D. Charles Todd? Tune in next week for the answer. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Dark and Stormy Book Club. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and join us next week when we'll have another book for you to discover. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery.
bye.